It is Monday, April 1st. Welcome to Lunch Break. I'm Wendy Bounds. Prosecutors will seek the death penalty for alleged Colorado movie theater shooter James Holmes. WSJ law reporter Ashby Jones joins me right now with the details. Ashby, they were weighing this. How did they finally arrive at the conclusion to seek the death penalty? Do they take into account the family of the victim's wishes here?
They do, and that's not required, but it's something that the prosecutors in this case decided to do. They went out and allegedly spoke to 800 or so family members, and they haven't.
Which 800 shows you the magnitude of this case.
It shows you just how broad the impact was, and they didn't release, what the vote was, so to speak. But the sense is that that the victims and the families, etc., really wanted the death penalty in this case.
James Holmes accused of committing 12 first-degree murders, scores of other crimes in that mass shooting in the movie theater in Denver. That was last July. Colorado, the death penalty is by lethal injection, but there are two parts to this capital case. Walk us through that.
Right, there are two parts, and this is common across the country in states that have the death penalty. The first stage is you have to find guilt, and then the second stage is it goes a separate part of the trial goes to the jury whether or not the death penalty should then be imposed, and that in this case is likely to be where most of the action is.
Right.
These are very contentious proceedings. The defense lawyers will put on a lot of evidence that he should not be executed.
And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But the standard for that is they have to convince the juror that they're aggravating circumstances enough to warrant going to this level of punishment.
That's right. So they'll convict him, presumably convict him of murder, and then there need to be a sufficient number of aggravating circumstances such that this was done premeditatedly, that this was done with heinous disregard for life. The law lays out a lot of these so-called aggravating circumstances, and the defense will try to show mitigating circumstances on the other hand to try to get the jury not to impose the death penalty. And these are things like he was troubled, as other sorts of circumstances which would convince the jury not to impose the death penalty.
What about entering a plea of insanity?
That's going to be a very controversial topic here. The defense has not yet decided whether or not they're going to do this. They are thinking about it. It's very risky because, as one person told me this morning, what you do when you plead insanity is you say, yes, I did it, but I was insane, or but the defendant was insane. So you basically walk right up to the line and hope that the jury finds that your insanity defense really wins the day.
We'll walk to that line with you and then stop.
Exactly.
A lot of details have come out now showing sort of the planning, the meticulous and awful planning going into this mass murder.
That's right, and the prosecution will try to show that those are aggravating circumstances, showing that this was very premeditated, etc. The defense will try to show that a lot of this stuff should not come in. There have been word of leaks to the press, etc. Evidence getting out that shouldn't have gotten out, and I know the defense will try to keep that from the eyes of the jury.
All right, Ashby Jones, thanks so much for being with us. More details on WSJ.com right now. Appreciate that.